Hello everyone, I'm Extra Cheesy 87, and this is Let's Play Virtue's Last Reward Part 60, the big 6-0. Last time, well, the pieces are really starting to come together, dude. Basically, we returned to the facility, we opened up the graveyard, uh, gravestone with the key. It turns out there was a treatment pod. In the treatment pod was Sigma's clone, who previously inhabited K's armor, but in this time, oh, this is getting complicated. In this timeline, Akane is actually the one in K's armor because we saved her, and so she didn't die. And instead, real K is chilling in the treatment pod. And then we also learned that Sigma is an old man. Actually, he's been an old man this entire time. And he's also actually Zero Senior. He's the one who organized all this, but it wasn't actually Sigma, it was Sigma's older consciousness, which has been sent back into the past to play the shitty games that suck ass, and also to like save the world or something. I don't know, dude. And now they're gonna reverse it and send young Sigma back to the past so that old Sigma can take over this body again. And they need a crisis to do it. And then Akane started being hella menacing, and the ominous music started playing, and I have a feeling bad things are about to happen. Dio's knife? No sooner were the words out of my mouth. Oh shit, dude. Please, someone's... Fi! Oh, I thought she was gonna stab us. I screamed and leapt towards them. Akane was already in motion, the knife diving towards Fi's chest. I was almost there. When I regained consciousness, I was on the floor. There was a dull pain. Yo, you can't stab me! I felt a cut, but something was in the way. It took me a moment to realize that it was Akane's body lying on top of me. I twisted my neck to look around. Nearby was an old tombstone. On it was written a few words in Latin. What? Okay, what you are, I was. What I am, you will be. Well, that's clever. Wait, what just... Wait. Was that the end of the game? Did we just wait? What? I'm a little confused right now. What? I'm so confused. I did just notice it did credit Akane as having a younger voice actress, but we never like heard Akane like a flashback or something talk. I don't. I'm like hella confused right now because I don't think that's the end of the game. Because if so, I feel kind of weird having cut the video like literally 2 minutes before the end of the game. I mean, granted, there's a lot of shit I want to talk about with this game, so maybe that'll just be our finale, is me gushing. But I guess we've already seen the credits, but I guess we'll watch all the little recollection scenes from the various different endings. Still, like... God, Clover sucks. Oh, poor old Gollum. Dude, the best character. He's only in it for like 40 minutes, but he's still the best character. Hmm. Whoa, she like had something in her hand there. That wasn't her doing her kick. That was actually something different, I think. A new... Okay, that's not it. I was a little like... So that's Phi's ending. Headquarters, April 13th, 2029. Oh, I vaguely remember this. I don't know if this is actually...
Today is April 13th, 2029, and this is the evening news. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I don't have any news to read. All of our station's reporters have passed after contracting Radical 6. So have my... Excuse me. I've managed to keep us on the air until now. But I'm out of tricks. It's time for me to sign off.
Yo, is this lady about to kill herself on live TV?
This concludes our broadcast day. I pray that someday our world can be cleansed of this horrible plague. Goodbye.
For a moment, I just stared at the TV. The roar of the static seemed to fill the entire room until, with a click, it disappeared too. Had the power gone out? I heard footsteps behind me and turned around. Ah, shit, dude. Akane?
It looks like the first step was successful.
Oh, so that's why Akane's had a younger voice actor credited. What the fuck? You killed me.
Killed?
I guess technically you're going to kill me 45 years from now, but still.
Hey, no need to be rude about it.
You murdered us.
I didn't kill you. I hit you with the butt of the knife. You're fine.
I'm okay.
Yes. You and Phi needed to experience a state of crisis. That was the only way.
Okay, but who the fuck is Phi? Me and Phi?
Yes. I only told you about you, but we also needed Phi to jump. Now, you know what happens next, right?
We go to the moon?
Correct. We will be leaving tomorrow, April 14th, 2029. We've nearly finished preparing your shuttle. Only a few last-minute checks and additions. You'll be traveling to Rhizome 9, along with 3 treatment pods.
Alice and Clover, right?
Yes.
What about the third one? Who's in there?
Phi. We put her into cold sleep 2 days ago. She appeared at our headquarters and volunteered to be frozen.
What?
That wasn't the Phi who jumped from Point C, though. It was Phi before she jumped from Point A to Point D.
What?
In other words, she was following the same path you are. And she still is.
Then that means that after you froze her, the Point C version of her jumped back into her body?
Yes. The Point C version of Phi is sleeping in that pod.
So wait, is Point C, is that the future one, or is that...
She'll stay there for the next 45 years.
Damn, dude.
Sleeping in ice.
So, Point C is up here. So that is future Phi living in regular... Oh my god, dude.
Correct.
I don't think it's that complicated. I mean, it's complicated, but it's not like that bad, but I'm just a little tired. So that's why she didn't look old. Because she got to get in. Fuck, dude. So why don't you just stick me in one of those pods?
We can't do that.
Why not?
You haven't figured it out? You have to spend the next 45 years working on the AB project.
Dude, it doesn't take that long.
After arriving at Rhizome 9, you must master genetic engineering and artificial intelligence programming, among other disciplines.
Oh, it's not that hard, dude.
Otherwise, you will be unable to create Kyle, Luna, and Lagomorph. And, of course, you will need to develop the chromatic doors and the bracelets.
Well, that shit's easy.
You will also be the person who summons Tenmyoji and Quark.
I mean, apparently Akane figured out the fucking bracelet stuff, right? You know, from 999?
Once you've completed all the preparations, then the project can actually begin.
Which is also something they never explained, how she and Santa are able to set up the original 999. I don't think that's ever actually explained anywhere.
January 25th, 2074. You will defrost Phi and carry her to the third AB room. Once you've done that, the 22-year-old version of you from point A will force you out.
Uh-huh.
And you'll just go back 45 years to your own body on December 25th, 2028.
And then I change history. Do you really think I can keep the virus from getting out?
You have to. If you don't, billions of people will die.
Okay, Connie, you can quit yelling. I don't know. She's like super loud. Like, compared to all the other dialogue, she feels so much louder.
Only you and Phi can save them.
Who the hell is Phi? Aren't you an Esper too?
I can't do anything on my own. If this is going to work, I'll need your help.
So what do I need to do?
What do you mean?
Like, what specific actions do I need to take? When Phi and I jump to point A, what are we going to do then?
You'll both enter the Mars mission test site.
And after that?
I don't know.
Oh, thanks. What?
I'm sorry.
Real fucking helpful here.
I really don't know anything about what happens in there. We don't know how the Radical Six escaped. We don't even know why it was there in the first place.
Ah, crap. Then we're screwed.
That's why we need your help. You have the ability to jump through time and across parallel worlds.
Also, why can Sigma do that? They, like, never explained that either.
We need you to figure out what happened in that test facility.
Granted, I guess they never really explained the whole morphogenic field thing either. You're just kind of supposed to roll with it.
Things will be difficult, and I'm sure you will find yourself in a great deal of danger. But I believe the two of you can overcome any obstacle.
Wait. How do you know it's so
The
dangerous?
67-year-old version of you told me what happened. He wasn't able to stop the virus. So I suppose you could say you told me after you failed.
What? What did I say?
That the test facility is full of traps. There was one point, a woman's life was in danger. You risked yourself for her sake, and lost your arms and your right eye.
Oh. My arms and my right eye? Oh shit, dude! He's got robot arms. Suddenly a low rumble shook the building. Oh, so like this is so so we've already done like one loop of the time stuff, and he was able to go back, but he failed to stop, and so now we're having to do like a second run through of the time loop, I'm guessing. So this version of him has already been to the test site, but he failed. What was that?
Go have a look.
Guessing the world just exploded. I moved slowly to the window and peered outside. On the horizon, I could see a massive mushroom cloud climbing slowly towards the sky. Would Ree really be able to change the course of history? Nah, that was the wrong way to look at it. It couldn't be a question. I had to change history. We could save the world. I'm going to change history. I stared at the darkening skies above us and steeled myself. I would succeed. Is that the ending? End or begin? Oh my god. I think there's still one more thing, actually. Maybe not. Oh, wait, here we go. Down here. This is, I think, the actual final thing in the game.
Where?
Also, this is going to be kind of weird, and I'm going to need to maybe explain it a little bit after, but just roll with it for now.
I see you've finally woken up, Kyle.
Kyle?
Ah, yes. Of course. You've only just woken up in this timeline. It's only natural for some of your memories to be missing.
I lurched upright, jumped off the bed, and ran around to the other side of the partition. The mirror over the sink was covered with a film of dirt. I wiped it off with my sleeve, and my reflection stared back at me. There was no mistake. The reflection belonged to...
Kyle Climb. So, I'm Dr. Climb? Zero Senior's clone?
What? How do you know that? Shouldn't you still be suffering from amnesia?
An excellent question, one I didn't quite know the answer to myself. I knew who Kyle Clem was. In another history, he had been called K and had worn a suit of armor. He hadn't just worn the armor in that history, though. Apparently, he'd worn it all his life. Kyle had been born and raised in this lunar installation, which seemed to be called Rhizome 9. Rather late in his life, Akane had appeared as a mother figure and had consequently grown very attached to her. Or he had. I knew everything about him. But even though I knew it, I didn't feel it. Was I really Kyle Clem? Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw his face. The spitting image of Sigma Clem in his younger days. I looked down. There was Dio still handcuffed. I turned back around to Luna.
What day is today?
January 27th, 2074.
And today is the last day of the AB project. Akane has explained everything in the garden. And she drew a knife and attacked Phi. How long have I been asleep?
About 5 hours in real time. For them, it would have seemed like a little more than 2 hours.
So they still haven't been treated for their Radical 6?
No, they've all been given the antiviral. It just takes a while to have an effect.
I see. So the consciousness of the younger Sigma has gone back into the past. It should have happened right after Akane attacked Phi, right?
Yes.
So now Old Sigma is actually Old Sigma.
Why am I here?
The doctor carried you back here. You were in the pod in the garden.
So the person you call the doctor is Sigma Climb, as inhabited by his age-appropriate consciousness.
Yes, but how do you know that?
Dio seems to have remained unconscious.
Yes. I've been administering Soparil whenever he gets restless.
Hell yeah!
What about the others?
They've all gone off to different areas. Tenmyoji and Quark, for instance.
Oh,
So the real question is, why the fuck does he have headlights on his head? if it's not actually to contain his psychic powers.
Right.
I just don't,
Mr. Klein.
I just don't get the headgear, dude. It's so weird.
So the sleepyhead's finally up, huh?
What are you two doing here?
You don't know where we are?
This is the upper floor of the pressure exchange chamber. The real one.
Mm-hmm.
We were just about to get dressed and head out.
You plan to return then? To Earth, I mean.
Yeah.
Sigma told us where we could find the shuttle that brought us here. Well, guess he's not really the Sigma I knew anymore. He's Dr. Klein now, or Zero Senior, depending on how you look at it.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Well, I'm just curious why you would choose to return to a devastated planet when you could stay here.
How's staying here gonna help?
Yeah, how is staying here gonna help?
You aren't gonna say something idiotic about how we should wait here until Sigma changes the past, are you? You can't wait for something that's already happened.
Yeah, because it would just affect. I mean, I assume based on the way. I mean, there's a few different time travel ways to handle it. I think they operate under the idea that it would just change that one specific timeline. Like it wouldn't affect this one. Like this timeline is just fucked.
Grammar doesn't work that way. Hell, nature doesn't work that way. You following me?
So even if Sigma succeeds, this branch of the timeline is just is all just fucked up, dude.
We've already lived through history.
Yeah.
Sigma failed to keep the virus from getting out. About 45 years ago, Radical 6 created a pandemic, and the antimatter reactors blew up. That all happened. Whatever Sigma does in the past, history's not going to change. In fact, it's because of what he did or didn't do in the past that we've got this past and present. Let me give you an example. Imagine a group of 100 motorcycles driving down an endless freeway.
Okay.
Eventually, they hit a junction. The road splits in two. One freeway continues off northwest, and the other stretches out to the northeast. So one guy, we'll call him S, pipes up. "Let's go northwest," he says. So they take the northwestern road. But about a mile past the intersection, something horrible happens. A semi driving the other way veers into their lane and plows through the bikers.
Ouch.
90 of them die. The surviving 10 are wounded, but survive. They don't stop, though. They keep riding down that highway, and eventually they'd gone 10,000 miles. Then suddenly, something happens that they couldn't have predicted. S, who had survived, suddenly has his consciousness thrown back in time. He ends up back in his own body just before they reach the junction. He remembers everything. So what does S do? What anybody would do.
He says, "Go the other way, dude."
Let's go northeast.
Actually, he says, "Let's not be bikers. It's kind of dangerous."
That means all 100 of the bikers survive to reach their destination, happy and healthy.
I mean, you can't trust people. That's my thing with driving. Fuck driving, dude. Because it's so much of it. So you could be the greatest driver in the world. It only takes one not greatest driver in the world to fucking murder you. And just being on a bike just makes that much more likely to happen.
And they all live happily ever after. That's what you're thinking, right? It's a great outcome for the 100 bikers that went northeast. But what about the 10 that went northwest and survived the accident?
Huh? Wouldn't it be 9 people? I mean, S's mind went back in time, right?
Right. Okay, 9 people then. What happens to the reality they were living?
And of course it's 9.
Does it just disappear when S changes the past? It's not as if it was only bad things that happened during that 10,000-mile trip.
Yeah, you get to adopt a dumpster baby.
Maybe one of them fell in love with a woman working at a gas station they stopped at and had a child. Maybe one of them picked up a homeless kid who joined them on their adventure.
Yeah.
That 10,000-mile journey would be full of stories. Friendships, farewells, romances. The loss of those 90 lives is horrible and unfortunate. But what would rewriting their history mean? The 9 who survived lived full lives. How can it be right to just erase all that? The survivors overcame their own misery and loss and made the best they could of the hand they'd been dealt. Isn't that worth something? Isn't that the best thing that humans can aspire to? Is there really any point to a world where everything is happy? Are people who struggle for a better life just idiots? Being human is about fighting even when it seems hopeless and finding happiness even in a world that hates it.
Damn, Junpei's grown up.
Are you saying that's worthless? If you're saying rewriting the past will erase all these other timelines, then whatever God wrote those rules can Look, I'm just not going to accept that, all right? You get it?
If Sigma changes the past, then you and Quark will never meet.
Is he right?
No, it's not going to happen. We're here right now. This is reality. Even if Sigma does change the past, we're not just going to disappear or something.
Oh, then that means we get to stay together? Good.
Thanks, kid.
I understand how you feel. Why you want to return to Earth is clear. You have lives there, I imagine. There are likely people waiting for you.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Have you already said goodbye to the others?
Bye, Luna, Alice, and Clover all saw us off. We told them we'd see him again someday, and then came here.
So, how does Phi work? So Phi still is here, but she doesn't have like a old consciousness. I don't know, dude.
They were the only people you want to say goodbye to?
Because I mean, I guess she does have an old consciousness per se, but it wouldn't like. It's not going to be drastically different like for Sigma, because it's not going to have like the 45 years of life experience, I guess.
Well, no point saying anything to Dio.
Besides, he's asleep. You were asleep too.
Sorry, but we didn't really know much about you.
You have a point. Akane was in the armor in this timeline, after all. What about Sigma?
Well, he's not really Mr. Sigma anymore.
Of course. He is Dr. Klein now that his consciousness has returned.
Yeah, but more importantly, he's the guy who brought us all here. Not a lot of warm feelings there, you know?
Yeah, very true. Kind of a dick.
Akane?
Never mind her. She's just like him.
Hmm.
Not the Akane I knew. She must have seen some pretty awful things over the years. Hell, she might not even be human anymore. But the Akane Kurashiki I know isn't here. She's not anywhere.
Damn, dude.
In the end, Clover and I were just pawns. Pawns to be used and then gotten rid of. Still, it's not like we're completely resentful. We had to be here to help change the past. That part's easy to understand. But
Kinda sucks, though.
That's one way to put it.
I mean, Sigma and Phi have it easy. They get to go back to December 25th in 2028.
Yeah, Clover and Alice are kind of fucked.
They'll stop the Radical Six and save the world, and then they'll have a nice, normal future to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, they got basically just transported to, the post-apocalyptic. Everyone you know is dead.
In other words, they get to go back to Point E and just enjoy history like it was supposed to happen.
But we don't. We're stuck with Point C as our starting point.
You told us about Ten Myoji's story, right? The one with the motorcycles? It would be like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going, 10,000 miles to the northwest.
Don't get us wrong. We know why we had to be here. Without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
If that couldn't happen, then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed. But
It's still not the best situation for those of us left in the Northwest. We're stuck in the reality where the 90 bikers died.
are we just supposed to go live on Earth? It's a wasteland now. And what about our friends and families? We left a whole world behind 45 years ago.
Dang, the game's actually making me feel bad for Clover and Alice.
Even if it is for the greater good?
It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
So we went and talked to the old lady.
She told us that there is one way.
One way we could get back to the past.
Let's say you do go back to the past. Wouldn't that cause your minds to get thrown back here? That seemed to be how Sigma and Phi's jumps worked, at least.
Yes, you're right.
Well, then you're just fucking another version of yourselves, basically.
But this is different.
Different. How so?
Oh, never mind, it's different.
From what she said, it sounds like there's a way we can send our bodies back in time, too.
What?
That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
It would create a paradox. How could you have two Clovers and two Alices at the same time?
But that wouldn't happen.
Oh god, imagine 2 Clovers.
Akane says there's a way around that.
How on earth does she plan to do that?
Schrodinger's?
Cat.
Oh, hey, Kyle.
Oh yeah, I don't think they ever actually explained that. I think that's literally the last you ever hear of Clover and Alice, by the way. So,
Figured you'd come here eventually.
Where's Dr. Klein? Luna said you were with him.
He said he was tired, so he's off resting right now. There's a bedroom at the end of the hallway. He's in there if you're curious. Oh, right. He told me to turn on this hologram projector thing when you showed up. Want me to start it?
Sure.
Glad to see you.
I'm going to talk to you about the termites again.
There isn't anything in particular that I have to tell you. However, I imagine there are a great number of things weighing on your mind. I'd love to answer all your questions, but unfortunately, my circumstances make that an impossibility. I hope you can forgive me. Everything I know, Phi should also know. I have instructed her to answer any questions anyone might have. Anyone other than Kyle, that is.
Wait, what? Kind of rude.
What does he mean, other than Kyle?
Who knows? Is there anything you want to ask?
So wait, what did he say? He said, I've instructed her to answer any questions anyone might have, anyone other than Kyle. Why do you gotta keep Kyle in the dark, dude?
Right, well, I guess I may as well cut to the chase. Just who are you, Phi?
I'm not Superman, that's for sure. And I'm not Batman or Spider-Man or Aquaman or a merman or a wolfman.
I feel like we've heard this joke before.
I'm not a Brahmin or common or ramen.
We've definitely
I'm not
heard
a
this
Cayman
before.
either, so you really don't need to worry about anything.
You gotta find new material.
Please don't dodge the question. About 5 hours ago, Akane attacked you with a knife. That triggered something which sent your mind back to the past, correct?
So, because this isn't R5 though. This is like a slightly different Phi.
Specifically, you were sent to Point D, April 13th, 2029. On that date, your body was already in Akane's custody. Although by then you were in cold sleep. You wouldn't have regained consciousness, but your mind was now inhabiting that body. That pod was your home for 45 years. You slept there, frozen, until the time was right. Then on January 25th, 2074, you were finally thawed out, even though you didn't wake up. Still unconscious, you were carried to the AB room. That was when your consciousness changed bodies again. A version of you from December 25th, 2028 arrived, pushing you out
Okay.
and sending you back to December 25th, 2028. This is when you finally woke up. In 2028, you found and joined forces with Sigma, whose older mind was inhabiting his younger body.
And then they failed.
Together, you attempted to infiltrate the Mars mission test facility. Unfortunately, your plan failed. The Radical Six did escape on New Year's Eve. That failure determined the path you followed. Instead of going along the line that branches out to the right from Point E, you headed straight to Point D. Point D being April 13th of the following year. That was the day that you made your way to Akane's hideout and asked to be put into one of the treatment pods.
So it's basically, this is just like the second. This is like the redo of the redo, basically.
Another consciousness enters your body around that time from the future. It is, of course, the version of you that left your body when Akane attacked you in the garden. This caused the two versions of you to swap places, and you moved 45 years into the future, where you woke up on the garden floor.
Yeah, that's a very long-winded explanation of it.
On the line that comes here. So if we discount the time you spent in cold sleep, for you, only 3.5 months have passed since that happened. That being when you were sent back into the past from the garden. Have I missed anything?
No, everything you talked about you got right.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I'm kind of an unknown variable in this equation. You could think of me as a kind of X factor. It's taken me the last 3.5 months to understand it.
And I haven't understood anything in the last 3.5 seconds. Could you please explain?
That's a good line. That's a very good line, actually. That's up there with some bullshit totalitarian logic.
It's kind of like the relationship between classical mechanics and modern physics. Strictly speaking,
I can
you can't
actually
combine velocities with v1 plus v2.
I could actually feel my brain like cringe at like, please don't make me think. When she said that.
V2 divided by
Absolutely
the
not.
Velocities we encounter. That means that since that would mean dividing by.
I can't do
you
math.
See what I'm saying?
You're just gonna hurt my head, and I can't handle it. Okay. She says some math shit.
In most situations, it works, even if it isn't technically correct.
What in the fuck is she talking about?
So you knew enough to get the stuff you were talking about right. As long as you stick to that, you won't run into any problems.
I don't quite understand. In fact, I feel like you're dodging my questions.
Yeah.
So is that what you wanted to ask about?
No. What I really want to know is what happened between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028. You and Sigma infiltrated the Mars mission test site, didn't you?
Yes.
What happened there?
They fucking failed.
How did Sigma lose his eye and both his arms? And why was Radical 6 in there in the first place? What could a deadly virus have to do with the simulated mission to space?
Sorry, but I can't tell you that.
Rude.
Why?
Because it would change history.
Yeah, it'd be spoilers.
There is a history where the virus didn't escape. That's the line that goes to the right of point E. In that timeline, humanity isn't heading for annihilation, and Earth isn't red. The future is much brighter. But if I tell you what you're asking me right now, then that reality will disappear.
Dude, that's some bullshit right there.
You understand?
I don't. Why would all of that disappear if you told me what I want to know?
You're about to go back to the past, right?
The past?
This is where things get weird.
Don't be silly. I can't do that.
Then where the hell did you learn all this stuff? I just listened to you tell me a bunch of things you shouldn't have known about. You were sleeping in the pod in the garden. You just woke up. So how can you know all this? You know my past. Sigma's past.
This is a lot longer of a scene than I remember.
I shall give you your answer. You are not Kyle Climb. Your body is Kyle's, but your consciousness is not. Think about it. Do you really believe you're Kyle? Or could you be someone else entirely?
Then, where is the real Kyle's consciousness?
Change his name to question mark.
He was thrown out when you entered.
We just yeeted his ass.
Right now, in a manner of speaking, he has arrived at December 25th, 2028. His consciousness has gone into a body from that time. I doubt you know how much the doctor loves Kyle. He raised him on his own. Kyle is irreplaceable. Do you really think he would go back to the past and leave Kyle behind here? I know what I told the others, that Kyle was Dr. Climb's spare, but that was not his only purpose. Kyle's consciousness is integral to what we are trying to accomplish.
Okay, I had to sneeze and click off on well, I felt like I was about to sneeze, and so I had to like click over to OBS and mute my mic, but it ended up being a fake sneeze, so that's why the audio cut out there for a second.
This new mission begins on Christmas and ends on New Year's Eve 2028. Its purpose will be to infiltrate the test facility and prevent the spread of the virus. For this to happen, Kyle is absolutely necessary.
And that is why he created him?
Yes.
So now that my consciousness has entered his body, the doctor has achieved his objective. Kyle has gone back to 2028 to participate in his mission.
Correct.
There's one thing that troubles me.
Just the one?
Kyle was created before reaching point B from point D. That means his body did not exist on Christmas in 2028.
Yeah.
Does that mean he has entered my body? Have we just switched places?
I suppose you could put it that way, yes.
That's ridiculous. What's going to happen to me? You telling me I have to spend the rest of my life here in this box, living in a borrowed body?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Okay, JK.
You can travel freely through time and space. You are an uncontrolled variable that entered our closed system. As such, the rules of this world do not apply to you.
I have no idea what...
Please don't try to play dumb. I know what you are. Surely you must know by now, too. You are about to go into the past and save the world. Phi and Sigma, even with all of his future knowledge, will need your help. Only you can right the horrible wrongs of our past. Only you can save the world.
There's no way I...
Yes, there is. You have to. Don't you want to know the truth?
I suppose.
Don't you want to know what happened in between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028?
Well, yes, I do, but...
Then you must believe. Reality is shaped by what we believe reality should be.
Then you must buy the next game.
If observation can change the motion of a particle, then how is it odd to think that human thought can shape reality? Your will can change history. The world will be reshaped into the one you imagine. Remember what I've told you. Only you can change history. Only you can save the world.
So, I think that's it. That's basically a non-canon ending. It's basically, so the idea there is that the thing possessing Kyle is the player character. It's a reference, or it's like, it's a similar idea. This is actually kind of spoilers or something for another property, another visual novel. Ever 17. It's Ever 17 Out of Eternity. Apparently, the director of the Zero Escape series was like the writer for that, and it gets into the kind of. It also has a theme of like fourth wall breaking, fourth dimensional stuff, and that's kind of supposed to be a reference to that. I know it's been a very long time since I actually read Ever 17, but apparently it's supposed to kind of connect to that. Basically, it's like the whole thing about Kyle going back to the past is supposed to be the player guiding Sigma and Phi through the sequel to this game, Zero Time Dilemma, which is, I hate to say it, but it's not very good. But yeah, that's it. That's, whoa, go back. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. It's actually, can we return to the title screen? No, we may not return to the title screen, because the game is being mean. So, shit, dude. There's still a lot to digest. I mean, we're at 40 minutes. Who cares, dude? I'm just gonna talk. Because like basically keeping on with the Kyle thing is like that's kind of supposed to be the idea. It's never really like touched upon in the sequels because honestly, Zero Time Dilemma is. It's not bad. The problem is that it's just not a worthy successor to this game in particular. Because especially when you could compare the level of growth there is from 999 to this game, I mean it's kind of crazy. You know, I mean, when you got so many different, I mean, basically you've got like what, like technically you got like 10 endings there. You know, compared to Zero Escape, 9 has like the 9, or not the 9, the 5 endings, and 2 of the endings are like almost the exact same thing. One is just slightly different, and then you have like the 2 kind of semi-real endings, the safe and the true ending. But it's really, I kind of glossed over it a little bit just for the sake of like getting the story over. But the switch up on Sigma being an old man the entire time is so fucking good. Oh my god, it's so good. Like, I thought I remember there being a scene in this game where they kind of like mentioned that may actually be in Zero Time Dilemma. Now that I think about it, but because there's actually a lot of different there's not a lot. There's several different references to Sigma being an old man in the game. As much as Phi calling him like an old perv. You've got that scene where they're in the pantry and she says something about being 20 years old and how he's only 2 years older than her, and she was like, "Oh, you must have taken a lot of drugs to be that old." You've got Dio calling him a senile old fuck. Several other different little references to Sigma just being like an old creeper. And it's gonna play the spoilery intro here. We'll let it play out, I think, unless the music's really loud. The intro is like so chock full of spoilers. I would have never shown it off beforehand, but I guess now that the game's over, may as well. But yeah, that's handled so well. Another thing is that like it's kind of one of the things that's interesting is when I'm trying to think, it's in Luna's ending when there's the scene where they're looking through the security cams and it shows Kay dragging Sigma. It's really zoomed out because basically every scene like never shows his face, right? Because if they did, you would see that he's an old dude, right? Is that scene? It's like it's the only time it shows his face, and you can actually see that his hair is gray, and that's like a very interesting little like reference. Not reference, but like a little bit of teaser, like something you wouldn't notice unless you're really looking for it. And it also, in that scene, the Luna one, that's why she calls him Doctor right before she dies, because well, he's kind of Zero's senior. I mean, you can say like literally every ending is spoiled in this opening, basically. It's kind of crazy. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about, but I will eventually play Zero Time Dilemma. Not really anytime soon, because I just don't have the... I've got a bit of a desire, because it's not bad. It's basically just kind of... I'm going to go ahead and like continue that. Well, actually, no, let's go to the options, because there's music there. While I continue talking. We'll eventually play it. It's not bad, like I said. It's underwhelming. Apparently, I think it had a lot of development problems. Like there wasn't even going to be a sequel at first, and then there was, and it's kind of rushed. It doesn't really do things all that great. It's still okay, but I mean, even this game. I mean, this game kind of like it's basically carried by the momentum of the story of this, because I mean they set up the whole like the Mars mission thing so much, but then when you actually get to finally like go experience it, it just doesn't live up to it basically, and it kind of sucks that the series doesn't really get a super great send off in the third game. But I probably shouldn't talk about it. I mean, I'll talk about it plenty, because I will eventually play it, or LP it. Just not really in a huge rush. I mean, especially considering this series alone is 60 parts, won't be uploaded anytime soon. I mean, who knows? This LP may not even finish for, like, more than a year from when I'm recording this. Just for reference, this is being recorded on August 31st, 2019. So we'll see how long it takes for this video to actually go up, how much of a gap there is. I can't believe I've actually finished a 60-part LP without uploading a single part. That's kind of insane. I feel like there's a few other things I wanted to mention that are just like little tidbits that I didn't really ever want to talk about because they're kind of spoilery. But yeah, the whole Sigma being an old dude is such a fantastic twist, and just the way the game plays with like the idea of player knowledge and dramatic irony. I think I kind of mentioned this back when the gimmick is first like officially revealed. The idea that like Sigma's actually transporting his consciousness, and that's how he's able to remember stuff. It's so cool to like work with that branching aspect, and then it's got the whole true end when all the pieces start to come together. The game's just fantastic. It's actually probably like I'd put it in my top 5 visual novels. Well, I think I would give it the top 5 just for the novelty of a lot of its systems. You know, the way it uses, the way it incorporates the idea of multiple routes into the actual storyline so well. And even then, just that kind of ending part about like kind of breaking the fourth wall and like the idea that even though it's never lived up to in the actual sequel, but the idea of like the player engagement, like the player being this guiding force, is kind of interesting. It's similar to big spoilers by the way, for Bravely Default, the 3DS game from several years ago. You know, once I said spoilers, it plays with a very similar concept. The idea that the main character is actually basically possessed by what's supposed to be the player character, and kind of like a very fourth wall breaky thing that's not really revealed until the very end of the game, but it's very interesting in that regard. That's something that just I really like, that idea of kind of meta breaking, like meta fourth wall breaking player engagement. I like that it's fairly rare. I wouldn't want it to be like in everything, because it can be a little like, it has to be done well to work properly. And I do think this game, I mean, it only kind of references that at the end, right? Ever 17, I mean, it's been a very long time since I've read Ever 17, but I think it does it a little bit better. I really don't remember the way it works out. The whole, because it kind of plays with a very similar concept. And it was actually really surprising, because when I was playing this the first time, I was like, man, this is like very similar to Ever 17. And then after I finished it, realizing that, it's like, I think it's the director of this game, like, was the lead writer for that visual novel. I'm not entirely sure. So, but there's some like cross involvement there. I think that's gonna be it. Trying to think if there's anything else worth really talking about. Basically, it was a really fun LP. I've enjoyed really jamming this out over the last basically 3 weeks. I've recorded like 50 of the parts over 3 weeks. Pretty crazy. We're just gonna finally bring this to a close. I almost don't want it to end. It feels like it's gone on for so long. But yeah, we'll play Zero Time Dilemma eventually. It's a lot shorter. It's more like 999 length. It's maybe slightly longer, but not by much, whereas this game is a fucking behemoth. But yeah, I guess I can't think of anything else to add. It's a very good game. Very, very good. I like it a lot. I'm Extra Cheesy 87. Stay tuned for the next Let's Play. And bye, guys.